right in the middle of a really good, engaging conversation. And then the breaking news with Diana Taurasi retiring from the WNBA and the Phoenix Mercury kind of cut short our conversation. But we were having a good one. And so we wanted to go back to it because it's not that difficult. In fact, it's really not hard at all to envision the Arizona Cardinals a year from now kind of having their, okay, we got to figure out what we're doing with Kyler Murray kind of moment right now. And the reason what sparks us into this conversation is the news today coming out of Atlanta and really coming out of the scouting combine that Atlanta has announced that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be their starting quarterback this year and Kirk Cousins is going to be the backup, maybe the highest paid backup quarterback in the history of the National Football League.
Yep.
You sent a tweet in which Kirk, and not that wins and losses are the only defining stat of a quarterback, they are not. But Kirk Cousins, in all of his years in the NBA, 59 wins, 59 losses, 2 ties, and $231 million when it was all said and done.
He has made a lot of money for mediocrity, my friend, a lot of money for mediocrity. And it just got me thinking, like, let's look at Kyler's record. Kyler's about 10 games under 500. You get to a point where you're like, okay, I don't want to go that far down the road with Kyler not knowing. Either I'm going to commit to Kyler and he's going to take us to where we haven't been in a while, or he's not, and you've got to try to move on and go somewhere else. Now, I know the dangers of that. And the danger is that, if you've got a bottom 10 quarterback, sometimes it takes a long time for a team. I've been waiting for 4 decades for the Cleveland Browns to get a good quarterback. It's been a while. Since Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar. It's been a while. Look, the Jets, I think the last time the Jets had a good quarterback, it was Kenny O'Brien. Mm-hmm. And he was in the Dan Marino, he was in that draft class with, Elway and Marino and those guys. So I understand how difficult it is to get that. There's many organizations. The Bears, when was the last time the Bears had a good quarterback? Never in my lifetime. Never. So, I understand how difficult it is to get that guy.
Yep.
But, man, you got to keep trying, right? You can't be stuck with a mediocre quarterback that's not going to take you anywhere.
I think it's about trying, and it's about, in some ways, not fearing failure. All right? Not being, and what I mean by that, I mean that on a couple of fronts. Okay, number one, you can't fear failure in moving on from Kyler Murray and worrying about him being great somewhere else. If you've done your evaluation and you've decided it's not working with Kyler Murray and he can't take you where you want to go, you can't worry about what he's going to do for the next team or whether he's going to do. You can't be afraid of that. You also can't be afraid, to your point, of trying, of saying, okay, we tried this with Kyler Murray. We gave it 7 years. What do we have to show for it? What at the end of the road, what's the resume look like? And if you're not satisfied with it, you can't be afraid of, well, what if the next guy isn't as good as Kyler? If you let that dictate your decision making, hey, what if the next guy just isn't as good as Kyler Murray? You know what? He might not be. And it might take you a couple of more bites of the quarterback apple before you find somebody who is your franchise guy. You can't be afraid of that.
Doesn't mean you pay
either.
Kyler again.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean you keep paying Kyler. If you're going to get to a point, you can't really drag this out much longer. I mean, it may have already been dragged out longer than it should have. You've got to make a decision. He's either your guy or you're not. And if you want to say, listen, this is who our quarterback is. We're going to back him. We're going to keep trying to support him. That's okay. But you're going to end up getting to a point where you've got a guy for 10 years and you don't have any playoff wins. You're going to be like, what the heck?
The amazing thing about Kirk Cousins' career, all right, in addition to the 59 wins, the 59 losses, the 2 ties, the $231 million. You know how many playoff games Kirk Cousins has started in his career in which he's made $231 million?
Is it 2?
3. 3 games. 2015, 2019, 2022.
Well,
That's it.
Go look at Ryan Tannehill. Go look at the Dolphins. Go look at Jay Cutler. All those years in the NFL for Jay Cutler, what did he win?
Well, and that's why. And what made me look this up is that one of our listeners tweeted us and said, "Well, what about Matthew Stafford?" And yeah, Stafford, you could very much make an argument, was that guy for 10 years with Detroit, who was just he's okay.
Right.
He's decent, and then he got out of there. He went to L.A., an organization that had a better idea at the time of winning than Detroit did, and his career took off. So you never know
but I think
when you've got that
thought
guy and you put him in the right situations like Stafford did when he left the Lions.
Stafford was good with the Lions. He was good. Like, if you look at his numbers and like,
I think I remember it a little differently than you do.
you didn't think he was in it. He was good.
I think we thought he was good, but I think we thought he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I think before Matthew Stafford went to the Rams, we would have put Stafford in the Jay Cutler, he's just a guy category. Yeah, he's just a guy. You can do better, you can do worse. Like, it's sometimes, now maybe it's a lot more rare when guys do what Stafford did, but I can't. I don't want to speak for you on this one.
Yeah.
I'll just speak for myself.
They lost a lot of games.
I have no problem admitting that back in the day, I thought Matthew Stafford was just a guy with the Detroit Lions. It wasn't anything special.
Right. Phillip Rivers, Jay Cutler, like some of these guys put up a lot of numbers, but do they win? Which just gets you the point again. You just bring it back to Kyler. Like, you're on this gigantic contract now. I mean, hey, another year goes by, you're getting another year close to having to make a decision on whether you want to do another contract with him or not.
I'm going to make a blanket statement, and you tell me if you think most Cardinal fans would agree with this.
Okay.
I am comfortable giving Kyler one more year and only one more year.
Yes.
Is that a blanket statement that you think most Cardinal fans would go, one more year?
But I think the gray area is, but what are you going to use to judge him on? Is it getting to the playoffs? Is it playoff success? Is it win-loss record? Is it stats, touchdown interception ratio, yards? Like, what is the barometer that you're going to use this year to you know what I'm saying? Like, like the blanket statement is one more year at Kyler, but define it. Like, what do you need to see to be convinced that you want him for another year, that you want him to be the quarterback of this team going forward?
The easy thing to say is a playoff win and not just a playoff appearance. I mean, I think that's the first thing that pops into my mind. The second thing that pops into my mind is better success at the quarterback position in November and December when these things have typically fallen apart on him.
It's a good one.
Those are the first two things that, like, stats. No, I've seen him put up the stats. I don't need stats to judge him. Staying healthy, I mean, that's a thing, but he did a pretty good job of that. He did a really good job of that last year. I think for me, it's like, in general, get to the playoffs, win the game, and then we can talk. And then a notch below that is just play better when the games matter the most. That has been the problem for Kyler Murray for the last, when he's healthy. That's been the problem for Kyler Murray. I would start with those two things as like the barometer.
That's fair.
Not stats, not completion percentage.
The stats are not it for me either. It's find a way to get your team to win. Be a winning player. Find a way to get your team to win no matter what it takes.
Win-loss record would be, as much as that might not be a quarterback stat, would be one that you would really look at this year as like a defining number for him?
Yeah, because sometimes winning a football game is, taking a ball when you're up by 3 and there's 6 minutes left on the clock and milking that clock down, 5.5 minutes, and you don't get any points out of it, but you converted a 3rd and 8 with a run. You converted a 3rd and 3 with a pass. And yeah, it didn't lead to points, but it led to running out the clock.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.